Hello, good evening. I'm just reading through the chat, and there is an interesting fact that Canada has 11 treaties and the common law stands. So I want to ask Crown Nelson if he can explain, like, how does it affect us because we don't have a treaty? Does the common law stands because we don't have a treaty? Crown Nelson.
A treaty.
Is the question, does the common law stand even though we don't have a treaty?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just looking at the Crown Proceedings Act and New Zealand legislation, the common law can only be exercised by the Crown. So you don't need a treaty.
Because you're above it already.
Yes, exactly.
So
now,
I was talking to people about having a common law court as a Crown Commission, where all the members of the common law court were in their position as Crown.
Yes, the Crown Commission.
Yes.
All law lords.
Yes.
Now, just looking at some of the titles Queen Elizabeth has. Now, we looked at the diplomatic staff, and anyone in the ex officio in office, that includes the bishop, archbishop, which is appointed by the God Queen in her title. The God Queen, God representing the Crown. She just mixed the two titles together within her title of the Crown being God Queen and the fiction. She doesn't need diplomatic privileges or immunity, because she has sovereign immunity through her sovereign person. Now, the sovereign person is having title or ownership to her land that she was born in, connected to the land.
So there's no problem referring to that like sovereign person? Isn't that a word we want to stay away from, person?
Well, that's your estate, your inheritance, which is the statutory body, but you have to claim it as the Crown, of course. Yeah. But we are not the sovereign. There is no living sovereign. Only the Crown is living. The sovereign is the estate. It's the sovereign estate of inheritance. You go around claiming you're the living sovereign, that's not going to work.
Okay, so the sovereign's a dead estate.
Is the estate.
Yeah, okay.
Person. So I can verify that in legislation right now if anyone wants
well,
to.
I'll tell you what, because that should be, as soon as I hear that, I'm thinking there should be a lot of people that don't agree with that.
I know.
They'll be saying, no, I'm the sovereign, I'm the sovereign,
That's
I'm the sovereign.
right. That's
All
right.
right. All right.
That's part of the deception.
Okay.
Worldwide, everyone's been fighting for their sovereignty.
Okay, well, put your feet to the flames then. Thank you, Crown. You show us in the legislation. Show us your evidence for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, are you able to share there, Steve?
Oh.
Post attendee screen sharing.
There you go.
Okay. Where we are. Oh, here we go.
I haven't got your screen up yet. Oh, there you go. Yep, gotcha.
So, everyone's going on about their constitution. In New Zealand, that's arguing, that we haven't got a constitution and neither has government. We have a constitution, but people haven't figured out the code within it. So we do have a constitution, refer to your constitution. But in the constitution, there's two parties. There's the Crown and the sovereign. So the Governor General is acting on behalf of the sovereign, who's the person. Sovereign in person. The deceased is the estate. That's the public. Now, if I just go and put sovereign in there again, under part 1, I just go to the whole act. It talks about the demise of the Crown. When you use the name of the sovereign, it's the demise of the crown. You have disclaimed the estate which is in the name of the sovereign. So the death of the sovereign, deceased, is the person. Everyone's fighting for their sovereignty. You already got it. You're using it, but you cannot exercise it unless you're the crown. So when you look in this code, it's heavily encoded. I'll read it out. The death of the sovereign shall have the effect of transferring all the functions, duties, powers, authorities, rights, privileges, and dignities belonging to the crown to the sovereign's successor. And that's Parliament at the moment, through the Governor-General, who's representing the sovereign, because the crown has disclaimed the estate. You understand that? That's what's happened there. Now, when we're talking about the name, it's called agency or regency, re-agency, and it goes like this. Where, comma. Does anyone know where is? It's like once upon a time, or in the beginning. Do you know where is, please? Has anyone got an answer? Under the law of the United Kingdom. It says the United Kingdom, which is everyone captured in New Zealand, doesn't say the United Kingdom of Great Britain. Now, the United Kingdom represents all the functions of the body of the crown. That's the United Kingdom. In relation to the first commandment in the Bible that says, first seek ye the kingdom.
So when it's just saying United Kingdom, it's referring to you there in your chair and all the bits that are you. Everything that's attached to you legally, but it's got nothing to do with the land mass or like like Britain, for or Canada. It's got nothing to do with them. It's talking about this breathing thing that's sitting there.
Yes. The body politic represented by the name on the birth certificate is all the functions that are administrating your estate that's belonging to the crown. So that's all functioning in the name, where under the law of the United Kingdom, the royal functions, now we're not talking about royal functions, we're talking about banking, are being performed in the name and on behalf of the sovereign by a regent. The royal functions of the sovereign right of New Zealand shall be performed in the name and on behalf of the sovereign by that regent. We talk about agency.
So a regent is another name for an agent.
Agent, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's all about agency. So that's the relationship, the demise of the crown, because we have disclaimed the estate which is in the name of the sovereign. And we've taken on the name of the sovereign, and we got what we got.
So the purpose for us discussing this now is to clarify the fact that we can hold a common law court. We don't need a treaty because we're above all of that as long as we know what we are, and we conduct a common law court as a Crown Commission.
Correct. Now, if you look in the old English, they talk about the Lord Spiritual, which is the bishop, archbishop. The archbishop is appointed by the crown through the sovereign. Lord Spiritual, Lord Temporal, and Commons. There's the Parliament. All the functions of the body are all part of the administration, only existing through the administration of the deceased person, which is the estate. That's the equity that they're using in Chancery to fund all their operations. Now, each person's estate has a monetary value, and that's your share of the Commonwealth of the United Kingdom, which is a unit trust.
So does that value represent a parcel of land, or does it represent your weight in gold, or does it represent how much tax you were going to pay in your life, or what does it represent?
It represents your share of the Earth's surface.
So a parcel of land, for example.
Parcel of land, because the placenta came from the land.
Uh-huh.
That's your connection to the land through the Crown Minerals Act.
Yep.
So you'll find that in the National Provident Restructuring Act, and it refers to, if we do a calculation of how many people there are on the face of the planet, divided by per hectare, we did a calculation of, and it worked out to 1.7 hectares per unit. They're dealing in units. The certificate is a unit that's operating under the United Tribes, New Zealand, United States, United Nations, the United Kingdom, and the Universal Postal Union. It's all about a unit. And that unit has a value of $230 million. And that's what they're banking on. And it's all disclaimed.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. So let me just verify, back up this, what I'm just referring to. Now, because it's been disclaimed, it gets transferred over to the land company. And that's held in treasury as bona vacantia. So I'll just draw your attention to the bona vacantia. And in the Public Finance Act, here we go. The minister may exercise powers relating to bona vacantia. Bona vacantia is ownerless property, because we've disclaimed it. Where any property or right belongs to the sovereign. Remember, he's deceased, he's a person. As bona vacantia, the minister may from time to time, on behalf of the sovereign, exercise any power, functions, and rights, including any power of disposal, and undertake and perform any obligation in respect of or in connection with the property or right of that could be exercised or undertaken or performed by the sovereign. You can't perform it because you're deceased. Everyone's fighting for their sovereignty. Wrong button. You got to proclaim yourself as the living crown to exercise your sovereignty, which is accessing your estate, your inheritance. And this is the global unit trust we're talking about. That was established in the 1835 Declaration, captured everyone. Just in the opening sentence, it says "ko mātou," and that says we, our, and us. Is anyone missing? I don't think there's anyone left out from that. And it's also in the banking code. If you go to your local bank and they got the banking compliance little green book, it says the code is we, our, and us means our bank, your bank. You and your means you, the customer. This is banking codes. All of this is banking. So there's the sovereign, bona vacantia. Now let's go to the public, to the Treasury's website on bona vacantia. Okay, there we go. Oh, here we go. Bona vacantia, ownerless property because it was disclaimed by the Crown. Fancy that. The Treasury legal team advises the Secretary to the Treasury on requests for the Crown to deal with bona vacantia property. Sometimes property becomes automatically owned by the Crown. Oh, you saw it in the statement in the demise of the Crown, eh? It came from the Crown. It's still owned by the Crown. Sometimes property becomes automatically owned by the Crown because it has no other owner. The Crown's the only owner, individually and collectively. When this happens, the property is called ownerless property, also known by its legal name, bona vacantia. Hey, your legal name is the bona vacantia. See, that's that name again. Doesn't matter what derivative it is, Nelson Painter, Stephen Lumley. Hey, it's still the name. Everything's operating in the name. You saw it in Regency.
Yeah.
The name is what captures everyone. It's in the Bible. I'll bring it up.
So Nelson, sorry, Crown. You put that in my head just then.
Yeah.
Now this is a little bit outside what you're talking about, but it's not. What we're looking at here is that through your research and whatever, you've learned what the system is. You've learned the jurisdiction that's over us. But when you're sitting there, you're not necessarily saying this is how it should be, this is the best system. You're saying this is the system. This is what we're in. And when I refer to it as we're in the belly of the beast and we've got to cut our way out of it, Once we cut our way out of it or we've got control of it, then we have the opportunity to have it be, or for us to be the change we're looking for, shall we say.
Individually, in small groups, but ultimately it's the same blueprint globally.